Hello everyone again and welcome back. Here we are in session 3, and in this third session I'm going to present one model of strategic plan development to you which I think is a good one that I have used successfully in many institutions looking to develop a more strategic approach to planning internationalization. As I think I've highlighted in the previous session, a strategic plan is about making decisions. So the institution will choose what it wants to do, but also what it does not want to do. And then on the basis of those decisions, it will move to action. And by developing a clearly articulated strategic plan, it can already identify at least the first set of actions that it plans to undertake in the course of the strategic plan. For that to happen effectively, I will argue that the plan needs to be holistic. It needs to address all aspects of institutional life. It should be written in a clear manner that is understood by everyone. It should be consistent. In other words, the points that are picked up at the beginning of the plan should follow through to the end of the plan, and that it should be accessible, easily understood by all those in the institution involved in its development. Have a look at this model. It looks a little strange to start with, but it is an attempt to capture two things at once. On the one hand, it shows how a university is organized, and at the same time it lays out a structure for the strategic plan. If you look at A and think of that as the top of the organization, the senior management level, who are responsible for the vision and the mission of the university, for its well-being, for its sustainability. Then look at B. B, consider that to be all the academic units in the university, all the faculties, departments, schools, whatever, who are delivering academic activities, whether that be in education, research, or any third mission activity that the university has. In other words, it is the academic activities that will lead to the realization of the vision and the mission. However, as we well know, no academic activity can function entirely by itself. It requires support. So think of C then as all the support services in the university, all the administrative units, from finance to quality assurance to marketing to the international office and so on. Administrative activities that support the academic activities. But neither the academic activities nor the administrative activities can take place without resources. So think of D as all the offices that provide resources. So human resources, infrastructure, or estate, you might call it, and of course the finance office itself. So the resources, management of resources, provides people, money and structures for C, the academic activities, and B, the support activities, and B, the academic activities. And it is when those three work together that the mission then is realized. But it is ultimately through the academic activities that the mission will take place. That will not happen, however, if there are not support activities in place and sufficient resources to deliver both administrative and academic activities. So that is what I mean by thinking of the institution in a holistic manner. We can now think of that same model for our strategic plan, where A will be vision and mission, B will be our academic objectives and the actions we will undertake to bring about those objectives. C will be all the support objectives that we will identify and the actions for those. And D likewise resource objectives and the actions to make those objectives come about. So, here we see it in more detail. In section, imagine this now as the outline of your strategic plan, and you will have 4 sections in that strategic plan. In that first section, in section A, you will set out your context, both internal and external, that will have been identified most likely via a SWOT analysis, an analysis of your strengths, weaknesses, i.e. your internal strengths and weaknesses, and the external opportunities and threats. That analysis may well lead also to a new vision, a new mission, or at least some form of modification of your vision and mission. So the institutional mission and vision are derived from an assessment of context in which the institution operates, its history, its location, its ethos, and an evaluation of all the factors, both internal and external, that currently affect it. Your next section will be academic activities. In this section, section B, you will describe the principal academic activities through which you seek to deliver mission and vision. In C, the third part of your plan, you will talk about your support activities. As we've said before, the primary purpose of your support activities is to support the academic activities. So if I'm going to develop English Top programs, that will have an academic line to it, but inevitably there will also be a support line that will be important. What will be the support services necessary for that English Top program to open at the beginning of the next academic year, for example. And of course, as we said before, the final section will be resource management. What resources will you need to manage, develop, in order for the academic and support activities to operate effectively? So if I develop a plan that way, I have a holistic approach to the whole institution, but I also have a sequential structure. I set out my vision and mission, I set out my academic activities, what will be my objectives over the lifetime of this plan, what actions will I undertake in order to carry out those objectives. And that will be repeated then again in C and D. So B, C and D are the sections that will have objectives and a set of actions to deliver those objectives. So again, if we look back to our model, we can see how these 4 parts come together, each arrow indicating how the sections are being supported. And if you notice also under each little circle, there is a line that is meant to suggest movement, that they should all be moving forward at the same time. I have seen many strategic plans for internationalisation that focused almost entirely on the academic activities. These parts move forward very quickly, and what happens is that C and D are out of kilter with the academic activities, and that is when you start to get tensions, frustration, overlap, lack of budget, lack of resources, human resources, overworked people in the support services. Okay, so it's not about developing separately, but developing holistically. As each part of the plan has a follow-up activity in both C and D. Follow-up or follow-ahead activity. There may be activities in C and D that need to happen before the actions in B can take place. Whatever the point is, you're thinking about the whole institution, the life cycle of each activity, and the different functions, the different services in the institution that will need to be involved at the different stages of that development. So summing up then, again, strategy has a direct articulation with mission and vision. So I have to know what my mission and vision is before I can develop a strategy. I I need to have a set of clear objectives in each section to deliver that strategy. Each objective needs a set of actions. What will I actually need to do to make that objective happen? I need to have infrastructures in place, policies, procedures, processes, structures, whatever, for those actions to happen in section C. And I need resources to enable that infrastructure to deliver the actions. And of course, throughout the lifetime of my plan, I will need a monitoring procedure to ensure that I am following my plan, that the actions are taking place, or if not taking place, why, and what kind of remedial action can I take in order to ensure they do happen, or is it a case of reflecting about whether the action is still appropriate or not? Has my environment, my context changed, and I really need to be thinking differently about my plan instead of pushing forward with actions or objectives that may no longer be relevant or could even be detrimental to the institution. Very quickly here, I would just like to show you Jane Knight's internationalization circle. I'm sure many of you have seen this before. I will not go into this in any detail here, but it shows you again in a different way how you might understand the points I made in that model. It shows you the various steps you would need to go through. If you look at step 4, which is planning, this is very often where people start. But they do so without having had an analysis of their context, without having a clear sense of why they're doing it, and getting full commitment from the institution about internationalization before going into the planning process. So take a look at this as well. This is another way of seeing it, thinking about the process in a very holistic way to ensure that you're looking at every aspect of a strategic planning process to ensure that internationalization can be effective in your institution. So in terms of what I would like you to do for this part of this third section, I would like you to look at the model I presented, and you can make reference to Jane Knight's model as well. It's absolutely not a problem. But I would like you to think, if you were developing a strategic plan for internationalization in your university, or perhaps you already do have a strategic plan and it's structured differently, then I'd like you to reflect about this model compared to the one that you currently have, and let me know what you identify as advantages or disadvantages of implementing such a model in your universities. Do you think it would work? Do you think you have an appropriate organizational culture that would support it? One of the disadvantages might be, yes, it's a great idea, but my university doesn't work that way. So reflect just a little bit on that model. It's not a detailed plan as such, it's just a framework, a conceptual framework as to how you might think about internationalization in a more holistic, comprehensive way that includes the whole institution in your approach to internationalization. So good luck with that, and I look forward to reading your thoughts.